I'm going to tell you something that may completely change how you see your life. You are not trying to manifest anything. You are not trying to attract anything. You are not waiting for the universe to give you something. You are revealing what you have already assumed to be true. And the moment you understand this, everything becomes simple. For years, I believed manifestation was about techniques. I believed it was about affirmations, visualizations, scripting, repetition. I thought if I just did enough of it, something outside of me would respond. But then I realized something radical. Nothing is responding to me. Everything is reflecting me. The world is not deciding what I get, my assumption is. And when I truly accepted that, not intellectually, but emotionally, my life started shifting in ways that felt almost unreal. Here's the first truth you must accept if you want to manifest anything. Your current reality is not happening to you. It is happening from you. Every relationship, every dollar, every opportunity, every delay, it all mirrors what you have accepted as true about yourself. If I believe I am overlooked, I experience being overlooked. If I believe money is hard, money feels hard. If I believe I am chosen, life bends in ways that confirm it. It is not magic. It is law. You are constantly manifesting, even right now. The only question is, are you doing it consciously? Most people try to change their circumstances without changing their identity. They try to get money while still feeling poor. They try to get love while still feeling unchosen. They try to get opportunities while still feeling invisible. That will always create delay, because manifestation is not about getting, it is about becoming. When I decided I no longer wanted to chase manifestations, but instead embody the version of me who already had them, things accelerated. I stopped asking, how do I get this? And started asking, who would I be if this were already mine? That question changes everything, because the version of you who already has it thinks differently, reacts differently, walks differently, expects differently. And expectation is creative. Let me say that again. Expectation creates reality. If I expect rejection, I find it. If I expect success, I move toward it without effort, and the world rearranges accordingly. Now here is where most people get confused. They think they need to feel 100% certain. They think they need zero doubt. That is not true. You do not need perfect belief. You need dominant assumption. What you return to again and again, that wins, not the random doubt that pops up. The dominant identity wins. So if throughout the day I return to, I am the one who always gets what I decide, that begins to harden into fact. Not because I forced reality, but because I changed myself, and self precedes circumstance. Pause for a moment. If you knew without question that whatever you assumed would become fact, what would you assume right now? Would you still entertain fear? Would you still replay rejection? Would you still identify as the version of you who struggles? Or would you dare to select something greater? Because that's what this is, selection. You are selecting identities all day. You select I am tired. You select I am unlucky. You select nothing works for me. And life says as you wish. So now I consciously select. I select I am favored. I am chosen. Everything unfolds for me. Money moves toward me. Love pursues me. Opportunities find me. Not as wishful thinking, but as identity. And identity externalizes. This is why imagination is so powerful. Imagination is not fantasy. It is rehearsal. When I imagine a scene implying my desire is fulfilled, I am not pretending. I am occupying. I am moving into the state of the wish fulfilled. And states produce outcomes. You do not get what you want. You get what you are. So instead of asking how to manifest anything, ask who must I become for this to be natural. Because when it feels natural, it shows up. Not because time passed, but because resistance dissolved. Now I want you to sit with something deeply uncomfortable and deeply liberating. There is no one to change but self. Not your partner, not your boss, not your bank account. Self. And when self changes, they change. Money changes. Circumstances change. Because they are not independent of you. They are responding to your concept of yourself. The fastest way to manifest anything is this. Assume it is already done. Return to that assumption. Refuse to identify with anything less. Simple. Not always easy, but simple. And for the rest of this masterclass, I am going to show you exactly how to do that. Not theoretically, practically. So that by the end of these 2 hours, you will understand how to manifest anything. Money, love, specific people, career, opportunities, confidence, health, freedom, anything. Because the method never changes, only the story does. And you are the author. Now let's go deeper. If manifestation is not about getting, if manifestation is about being, then the real work is identity. Everything in your life right now is reflecting who you believe you are, not who you want to be. not who you hope to be, not who you're trying to become, who you are. Your identity is your creative center. And here is the part that most people miss. Identity is not fixed, it is assumed. You were not born believing money is hard. You were not born believing love leaves. You were not born believing success takes struggle. You learned those identities, which means you can unlearn them, which means you can choose again. For years I tried to manifest things while secretly holding on to an identity that contradicted them. I would say I wanted wealth, but I still saw myself as someone who comes from struggle. I would say I wanted love, but I still identified as someone who is usually disappointed. Do you see the conflict? Your subconscious does not respond to what you say you want. It responds to who you believe you are, and the world mirrors that belief faithfully. So the shift begins here. I stop asking how do I manifest this, and I start asking who is the version of me who already has this. Close your eyes for a moment and really consider that. If I already had the money, how would I move? How would I speak? How would I react to bills? How would I think about opportunity? If I already had the relationship, would I overanalyze texts? Would I feel insecure? Would I check for validation? No. The version of you who has it is calm, secure, certain, natural, and that word natural is everything. Manifestation is not about forcing belief, it's about making the new identity feel natural. When something feels natural, it stops feeling like a desire, it starts feeling like reality, and reality must conform. Let me explain this in the simplest way possible. There are infinite versions of you. There is a version of you who struggles. There is a version of you who thrives. There is a version of you who is overlooked. There is a version of you who is magnetic. There is a version of you who waits. And there is a version of you who decides. You are not becoming that version. You are selecting it. And selection happens through assumption. When I assume I am the one who always succeeds, I begin thinking from that place. And thinking from is different than thinking of. Thinking of wealth is wishing. Thinking from wealth is identity. When I think from wealth, my internal dialogue changes. I no longer say, how will this work? I say, of course this is working. I no longer say, I hope this happens. I say, it's already unfolding. That shift feels subtle, but it is massive. Because when you think from a state consistently, you dwell in it. And when you dwell in it, you become it. And when you become it, it externalizes. You do not have to chase the world. You simply change yourself. Now let's talk about resistance. Resistance happens when you try to force a new identity while still emotionally attached to the old one. You say, I am wealthy, but internally you feel this isn't true. That's not failure, that's transition. The key is not to fight the old identity. The key is to starve it. Every time the old story arises, I do not wrestle with it. I simply return to that's the old version of me. And I move back into the new assumption. Identity shifts through repetition of state, not repetition of words. Let me say that again. It's not how many affirmations you say. It's how often you return to the state. State is emotional atmosphere. State is mental posture. State is the inner position you occupy. If I occupy the state of being chosen, I don't need evidence. If I occupy the state of being wealthy, I don't panic at numbers. If I occupy the state of being successful, I do not interpret delay as failure, because the identity is already decided, and decision collapses time. Time only exists for the undecided mind. The moment I decide this is who I am now, I step into a new timeline, not metaphorically, psychologically, energetically, behaviorally. Everything reorganizes. And here is something powerful. You don't manifest what you intensely want. You manifest what you feel normal having. So the work becomes normalization. Make success normal. Make love normal. Make wealth normal. How? Through imagination. Imagination is the workshop of identity. When I close my eyes and feel a scene implying it is done, I am not trying to make it happen. I am training my nervous system to accept it as real. And once it feels familiar, it feels natural. And once it feels natural, it manifests. Now let's go deeper. Many people fear delusion. They think, what if I assume something that isn't real? But here's the truth. You are already assuming things that aren't real. You assume it's hard. I'm unlucky. Nothing works for me. Those are assumptions too, and they create real consequences. So why not assume something empowering? If assumption is happening anyway, make it intentional. Make it favorable. Make it aligned with your highest version. The identity shift is not about arrogance. It's about alignment. Alignment with the version of you that already exists in possibility. You are not lying to yourself. You are choosing yourself. And the more you return to that chosen identity, the more your outer world has no choice but to reflect it. Because reality does not argue with identity. It submits to it. So from this moment forward, Ask yourself, who am I being right now? Am I being the version who doubts or the version who knows? Am I being the version who waits or the version who decides? Because manifestation begins the moment you decide who you are, not when circumstances change, but when self changes. And when self changes, circumstances must follow. Now we're going to dissolve the biggest misunderstanding about manifestation. Most people treat imagination like fantasy, like daydreaming, like pretending. But imagination is not escapism. Imagination is causation. And once you understand how it works, you stop doubting it. Let me ask you something simple. Have you ever imagined a worst-case scenario and then felt anxiety in your body as if it were happening? Your heart rate changed, your breathing shifted, your stomach tightened. Nothing happened physically, yet your body responded as if it did. Why? Because the subconscious mind does not distinguish between vividly imagined experience and physical experience. It responds to impression, and what you repeatedly impress upon it, it expresses. So imagination is not fake, it is rehearsal. Every athlete uses it, every performer uses it. They mentally run the scene before it happens, and their nervous system begins adapting to that outcome. Now take that further. If I repeatedly imagine myself succeeding, if I feel the relief, the gratitude, the certainty, my body begins to accept that as normal. And when something feels normal, I behave differently. I take different actions. I interpret events differently. I persist differently, and the world responds accordingly. This is not mystical. It is psychological law, but it goes deeper than behavior. Your assumptions filter your perception. If I assume people like me, I notice smiles. If I assume people ignore me, I notice distance. Same world, different filter. And perception shapes experience. Now here is where imagination becomes powerful. When I enter a scene in my mind that implies my desire is fulfilled, I am not visualizing to make it happen. I am entering the state where it has already happened, and state precedes circumstance. Let me explain state clearly. A state is a cluster of beliefs, emotions, expectations, and reactions. The state of wealth feels different than the state of lack. The state of being loved feels different than the state of rejection. When you imagine vividly, you step into a new state temporarily. If you repeat it, that state becomes familiar. If it becomes familiar, it becomes natural. And what is natural externalizes. You don't have to force reality. Reality mirrors what feels real to you. Now here's something subtle but powerful. It's not the clarity of the image that manifests. It's the feeling of reality. You don't need cinematic visualization. You need sensory conviction. A short scene, 5 to 10 seconds. Something simple. For example, if I want financial freedom, I might imagine holding my phone and seeing a bank notification. I don't need to see every detail. I just need to feel. It's done. Now let's talk about a specific person. This is where many people get emotional. You must understand something clearly. You are not forcing someone's will. You are shifting your concept of the relationship. If you assume someone is distant, you interpret their actions through that lens. If you assume someone desires you, you interpret through that lens. And your behavior subtly shifts. Your energy shifts. Your reactions shift. And the dynamic changes. You do not control others. You change self, and others reflect that change. If I identify as someone deeply loved by a specific person, I no longer fear losing them. And that absence of fear changes the interaction entirely. Now career. If you want a promotion, but identify as overlooked, you will unconsciously confirm that belief. Instead become, I am recognized. My value is obvious. I am the one opportunity finds. When you hold that identity, you speak differently. You carry yourself differently. You take initiative differently. And the world responds. This is not about manipulating reality. It's about aligning with the version of you who already lives it. Now here is something important. Do not try to manifest from desperation. If you feel desperate, pause. Return to self-concept. Strengthen identity first, because specific desires manifest faster when your self-concept is stable. Self-concept is the foundation. Desires are details. If you see yourself as lucky, good things cluster. If you see yourself as chosen, relationships improve naturally. If you see yourself as wealthy, opportunities expand. You don't need to micromanage each outcome. Change the identity, and the details follow. Now I want to give you a powerful exercise. Choose one area: money, love, career, specific person. Write down, who am I in the version where this is done? Not what happens, who you are. Are you confident, relaxed, grateful, certain, playful, secure? Now practice being that version today, not when it manifests. Now, this is living in the end applied practically. You don't wait for the external change to feel different. You feel different, and the external change follows. That's the reversal. That's the power. And once you understand this, manifestation stops feeling mystical. It becomes identity management. Now, in the next section, we're going to go into one of the most powerful techniques ever taught, the state akin to sleep, the moment where imagination impresses the subconscious most deeply. This is where manifestation accelerates dramatically. Now we arrive at the heart of it all. Living in the end. This is where manifestation stops being theory and becomes embodiment. Most people imagine their desire and then return to waiting. They visualize wealth and then check their bank account. They imagine love and then analyze the silence. That is not living in the end. That is visiting the end and returning to lack. Living in the end means this: I think, feel, and react as the version of me for whom it is already done. Not occasionally, not during meditation only, but as my baseline identity. Let's break this down clearly. The end is not the process. The end is the fulfilled state. If I want financial freedom, the end is not getting more clients. The end is feeling financially secure. If I want a relationship, the end is not getting a text. The end is feeling chosen and loved. The end is always a state of being. And once you understand that, everything simplifies, because you don't need to control middle steps. You only need to occupy the end state. Now here's where people struggle. They ask, how can I feel it's done when it's clearly not? But here's the truth. You do this every day, just negatively. When you worry about something that hasn't happened yet, you feel it as if it's real. You emotionally pre-live problems. So you already know how to live in an imagined state. You just have to reverse the direction. Living in the end means I no longer look to the 3D world for confirmation. The 3D world is an echo. It's yesterday's assumption. If I react to it emotionally, I reinforce the old state. Instead, I see it and think that's old news, and I return internally to it's done. This doesn't mean you deny reality. It means you stop granting it authority. Authority belongs to assumption. Now let me give you a powerful shift. Stop asking when will it happen. Start affirming it already happened in consciousness, because that is where everything begins. Consciousness is first cause. Circumstances are second effect. If you accept something as true in consciousness, the outer world reorganizes to match. Not because you forced it, but because the outer world mirrors the inner arrangement. Living in the end feels calm. It feels steady. It does not feel frantic. If you feel desperate, you are not in the end. You are in the wanting, and wanting perpetuates wanting. Fulfillment perpetuates fulfillment. So I ask myself daily, if this were already resolved, how would I move right now? Would I panic? No. Would I overthink? No. Would I chase? No. So I don't. Instead, I move with quiet certainty, even if nothing looks different yet, because I understand something powerful. Delay is not denial. Delay is transition. The 3D world has momentum. It must catch up to your new state. But it always does. Living in the end also changes how you interpret events. If I identify as someone who always succeeds, temporary setbacks don't shake me. They become rearrangements. If I identify as someone chosen, silence doesn't threaten me. It becomes space before confirmation. Identity determines interpretation. Interpretation determines emotional state. Emotional state sustains identity. This is the loop. So the question becomes, what loop are you sustaining? Now let's make this extremely practical. Choose one desire. Just one. Not 10, not 5. One. Define the end clearly, not the steps. The result, then create a short imaginal scene that implies completion. 5 to 10 seconds. Loop it at night. Loop it in quiet moments, and during the day whenever doubt appears, return to it's done. Not aggressively, not forcefully, gently, consistently. Living in the end also requires mental discipline. You cannot entertain opposite conclusions. If you plant a seed and then dig it up every day, you delay growth. So once you assume something, commit. Inner commitment collapses time. Now here's something powerful. The end is not out there. The end is within you. It's a shift in self-concept. And once self-concept changes, reality rearranges effortlessly. The outer world does not need your supervision. It needs your alignment. So stop micromanaging the middle. Stop obsessing over signs. Stop checking for movement. Movement begins in consciousness. When you feel differently about yourself, you are already moving. Living in the end is freedom, because you stop being a reactor and you become a selector. You select your state, you occupy it, you persist in it, and reality reflects it. Now, in the next section, we're going to eliminate the two biggest enemies of manifestation, doubt and time, because once those lose their power over you, manifestation becomes inevitable. Now we address the two forces that appear to delay manifestation, doubt and time. Let me say something that may immediately relax you. Doubt does not stop manifestation. Identification with doubt does. Doubt is a surface reaction. It is an old echo. It is yesterday's conditioning, trying to reassert itself. But it has no creative authority, unless you agree with it. When a doubtful thought appears, most people panic. They think, I ruined it. I lost the state. It's not working. But notice something. The doubt appears after you decide something new. It appears because the old identity feels threatened. Doubt is a sign of transition, not failure. The key is this: do not wrestle doubt, outgrow it. If I decide I am financially secure now, and a thought appears saying, but your bank account doesn't show that, I don't argue, I don't spiral, I simply respond internally. That's the old version speaking, and I return to, it's done, calmly, gently, repeatedly. Persistence is not emotional intensity. Persistence is loyalty, loyalty to the new identity. Now let's talk about time. Time feels like the ultimate authority. You imagine something, and then you look at the clock. You assume something, and then you count the days. But here's the deeper truth. Time is only experienced when you are waiting. And waiting only happens when you think it's not done. When you truly feel something is inevitable, you relax. Think about ordering something online. Once you confirm the purchase, you don't obsess every second. You know it's coming. That certainty softens time. Manifestation works the same way. If you feel you are trying to manifest, you are in the state of not having. If you feel it is already unfolding, time loses its grip. Time is not the enemy. Attachment to timing is. The moment you say it must happen by this date, or it failed, you reintroduce doubt. Instead, assume this. It is done in consciousness, and the bridge of events is unfolding perfectly. You don't need to know how. You don't need to know when. You only need to know who you are, and who you are determines what unfolds. Now here's something powerful. Manifestation does not require constant focus. It requires dominant state. You don't need to think about your desire all day. You just need your self-concept to align with it. If you identify as wealthy, you don't obsess about money. If you identify as loved, you don't obsess about reassurance. Identity removes urgency. Urgency is rooted in fear, and fear belongs to the old state. So if doubt appears, smile at it. It's a sign you moved. If time feels slow, relax into certainty. Slowness is perception. Movement is happening beneath the surface. Seeds grow underground before they break through soil. You don't see the growth, but it is happening. Your manifestation is the same. Now let's collapse this even further. The moment you decide something is yours, you shift into the timeline where it exists. You may not see it yet, but you are no longer the same person. And that internal shift begins reorganizing external circumstances. You might feel nudged to take action. You might feel called to reach out. You might suddenly meet someone unexpected. These are not coincidences. They are bridges. Bridges of events connecting your current moment to your assumed end. Your job is not to build the bridge. Your job is to remain the version who already arrived. Let me say that again. You don't construct the path. You embody the destination. And the path reveals itself. If something hasn't appeared yet, it's not because it's denied. It's because the bridge is forming. But the bridge forms faster when you are stable. Calm assumption accelerates. Desperate checking delays. So instead of asking, where is it? Ask, am I still being the version who has it? That's the only check that matters. Now let's go deeper into application. In the next section, we're going to apply this to specific areas. Money, love, specific people, career. Because the law does not change, only the form does. And once you see how it works in practical scenarios, it becomes unshakable. First, let me say this clearly. Manifestation does not require 24 hours. It does not require time at all. But a 24-hour container creates intensity of focus. And focused identity shifts can produce rapid external shifts. This is not about forcing reality in a day. This is about fully occupying the state for a concentrated period, without wavering. Most people manifest slowly because they keep switching states. They assume, then doubt, then assume, then react. The 24-hour formula works because you decide, for the next 24 hours, I am the version who already has it. No exceptions, no emotional negotiations, no checking for proof, just embodiment. Here's how you do it. Step 1. Choose one desire. Not 5, not 3, 1. Clarity amplifies power. Step 2. Define the fulfilled identity. Who are you if this is done? Write it clearly. I am secure. I am chosen. I am financially supported. I am successful. I am prioritized. Identity first, circumstance second. Step 3. Create a short imaginal scene, 5 to 10 seconds. Implies completion. Loop it in the morning. Loop it at night. Return to it during quiet moments. Step 4. Mental diet. For 24 hours, you do not entertain opposing thoughts. If a contradictory thought appears, you gently replace it. Not aggressively, not emotionally, just firmly. Old thought. What if it doesn't happen? New thought. It's already unfolding. Old thought. This never works. New thought. It always works for me. This is not denial. This is direction. You are directing consciousness. Now let's talk about a specific person. This is where many people get emotional. You must understand something clearly. You are not forcing someone's will. You are shifting your concept of the relationship. If you assume someone is distant, you interpret their actions through that lens. If you assume someone desires you, you interpret through that lens. And your behavior subtly shifts. Your energy shifts. Your reactions shift. And the dynamic changes. You do not control others. You change self, and others reflect that change. If I identify as someone deeply loved by a specific person, I no longer fear losing them. And that absence of fear changes the interaction entirely. Now career. If you want a promotion, but identify as overlooked, you will unconsciously confirm that belief. Instead become, I am recognized. My value is obvious. I am the one opportunity finds. When you hold that identity, you speak differently. You carry yourself differently. You take initiative differently. And the world responds. This is not about manipulating reality. It's about aligning with the version of you who already lives it. Now here is something important. Do not try to manifest from desperation. If you feel desperate, pause. Return to self-concept. Strengthen identity first, because specific desires manifest faster when your self-concept is stable. Self-concept is the foundation. Desires are details. If you see yourself as lucky, good things cluster. If you see yourself as chosen, relationships improve naturally. If you see yourself as wealthy, opportunities expand. You don't need to micromanage each outcome. Change the identity, and the details follow. Now I want to give you a powerful exercise. Choose one area: money, love, career, specific person. Write down who am I in the version where this is done. Not what happens, who you are. Are you confident, relaxed, grateful, certain, playful, secure? Now practice being that version today, not when it manifests. Now, this is living in the end applied practically. You don't wait for the external change to feel different. You feel different, and the external change follows. That's the reversal. That's the power. And once you understand this, manifestation stops feeling mystical. It becomes identity management. Now in the next section, we're going to go into one of the most powerful techniques ever taught. The state akin to sleep. The moment where imagination impresses the subconscious most deeply. This is where manifestation accelerates dramatically. Now we're going into the most effective way to impress the subconscious mind. The state akin to sleep. This is the window where manifestation accelerates. Why? Because when you are drifting into sleep, your critical mind relaxes. The analytical voice softens. Resistance lowers. And whatever you impress upon the subconscious in that state sinks deeper. During the day, you are filtering everything. Questioning, analyzing, doubting. At night, that filter weakens. So we use it. Here's how it works. As you are falling asleep, you enter a drowsy state. You're not fully awake. You're not fully asleep. You're floating. That is the doorway. In that state, imagination becomes more vivid. Emotion becomes more receptive. And suggestion becomes powerful. Now here is what most people do wrong. They visualize once, then roll over, then think about random things, then check their phone, then fall asleep unconsciously. Instead, this is what you do. You choose a short scene, 5 to 10 seconds. It must imply fulfillment, not process, fulfillment. For example, if you want financial abundance, imagine someone congratulating you. If you want a relationship, imagine hearing, "I'm so happy we're together." If you want success, imagine celebrating the achievement. Keep it short, loop it. As you drift into sleep, replay the scene over and over, not forcing it, not straining, just gently returning to it. And most importantly, feel it as real, not visually perfect, emotionally real. If you feel gratitude, stay there. If you feel relief, stay there. If you feel calm certainty, stay there. Let that feeling carry you into sleep. Why? Because the last emotion you experience before sleep impresses the subconscious deeply. You are programming identity overnight. Now here's something powerful. You don't need to do this for hours. 10 focused minutes in that drowsy state is more powerful than an hour of daytime affirmations filled with doubt. Quality over quantity. Consistency over intensity. That calm confidence is magnetic because it signals certainty. Now here's something important. Advanced embodiment does not mean you never feel doubt. It means doubt no longer defines you. It passes through. You don't identify with it. You don't build a story around it. You remain the chosen version. This is emotional discipline, and discipline creates freedom. Now let's talk about reacting to contrast. Sometimes life shows you the opposite of what you assumed. This is not failure. It is purge. Old momentum surfacing. Advanced embodiment means you see it and think temporary, and you stay the course. You don't drop the identity because of one event. You remain steady. Steadiness collapses resistance. Now I want to give you a powerful shift. Stop manifesting from need. Start manifesting from overflow. Instead of I need this to feel okay, shift to I am already okay, and this is an extension. When you are emotionally whole, desires manifest faster because they are enhancements, not emotional crutches. You become attractive to outcomes, not attached to them. Now here's the highest level. Gratitude before evidence. Not forced gratitude, but genuine appreciation for the identity you've selected. Grateful that you are becoming stable. Grateful that you are disciplined. Grateful that you are choosing consciously. That gratitude anchors embodiment. Now imagine living like this permanently. Not chasing, not doubting, not oscillating, just selecting states deliberately and persisting. Life becomes fluid. Opportunities feel natural. Relationships feel harmonious. Money feels responsive because you are no longer reacting to life. You are originating it. And this leads us to the final section. We're going to integrate everything into a powerful guided manifestation experience. A long immersive embodiment session where you step fully into the version of you who already has it all. Not imagining occasionally. Becoming completely. First, let me say this clearly. Manifestation does not require 24 hours. It does not require time at all. But a 24-hour container creates intensity of focus, and focused identity shifts can produce rapid external shifts. This is not about forcing reality in a day. This is about fully occupying the state for a concentrated period, without wavering. Most people manifest slowly because they keep switching states. They assume, then doubt, then assume, then react. The 24-hour formula works because you decide, for the next 24 hours, I am the version who already has it. No exceptions, no emotional negotiations, no checking for proof, just embodiment. Here's how you do it. Step 1. Choose one desire. Not 5, not 3. 1. Clarity amplifies power. Step 2. Define the fulfilled identity. Who are you if this is done? Write it clearly. I am secure. I am chosen. I am financially supported. I am successful. I am prioritized. Identity first, circumstance second. Step 3. Create a short imaginal scene, 5 to 10 seconds. Implies completion. Loop it in the morning. Loop it at night. Return to it during quiet moments. Step 4. Mental diet. For 24 hours, you do not entertain opposing thoughts. If a contradictory thought appears, you gently replace it. Not aggressively, not emotionally, just firmly. Old thought. What if it doesn't happen? New thought. It's already unfolding. Old thought. This never works. New thought. It always works for me. This is not denial. This is direction. You are directing consciousness. Now here's what makes this powerful. For 24 hours, you do not react to the 3D world. If something appears opposite, you label it old story, and you return to identity, calmly, consistently. You are not trying to feel euphoric. You are aiming for neutral certainty. Certainty is quiet. Desperation is loud. Now something interesting happens when you hold a state consistently for 24 hours. Your nervous system stabilizes. Your reactions change. Your perception shifts. And often external movement begins quickly. A message, an idea, an opportunity, a shift in behavior from someone else. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped contradicting yourself. You aligned fully. Manifestation accelerates when internal conflict stops. Now let's remove pressure. If nothing visible happens in 24 hours, you did not fail. You shifted identity, and identity shifts always produce change. Sometimes visible immediately, sometimes through a bridge of events, but something always moves, because you moved. The 24-hour formula works best when you treat it like an experiment in embodiment. For one day, be the version. Not try, be. Walk differently, speak differently, react differently. If you were already wealthy, would you stress about small numbers? If you were already loved, would you obsess over silence? If you were already successful, would you doubt your direction? No. So for 24 hours you don't. And that concentrated shift can collapse what used to take months, because you stopped oscillating. Now here's something even deeper. The 24-hour shift is not about the desire. It's about proving to yourself that you can control state. And once you know you can control state, you know you can control direction. Now in the next section, we're going to go beyond techniques, beyond specific desires, into full identity embodiment, where manifestation becomes effortless because you no longer chase outcomes. You become the person for whom outcomes align naturally. Up to this point, we've talked about techniques, imagination, living in the end, mental diet, the night method, the 24-hour embodiment shift. But now I want to take you beyond techniques, because techniques are training wheels. Identity is the vehicle. When identity stabilizes, manifestation becomes automatic, effortless, predictable. Here's what most people do. They manifest one desire, then they relax, then a new problem appears, then they scramble back to techniques. That means identity was never fully transformed. They changed a circumstance, but not self. Advanced embodiment means this: I no longer see myself as someone who occasionally manifests. I see myself as someone for whom reality rearranges naturally. That is a permanent shift. It's subtle, but it changes everything. Instead of thinking, I hope this works, you think things always work out for me. Instead of I need to manifest this, you think it's already aligning. This becomes your baseline assumption about life itself. Not about one topic, about everything. Now let's go deeper. Your dominant self-concept determines the quality of all your manifestations. If you see yourself as lucky, life feels cooperative. If you see yourself as chosen, relationships feel easier. If you see yourself as powerful, obstacles feel temporary. So the ultimate manifestation practice is this: upgrade your global identity. Not just I have money, but I am someone who thrives. I am someone who is favored. I am someone life supports. This broader identity causes multiple desires to align simultaneously, because you changed the core frequency. Now let's talk about emotional neutrality. When you are desperate for a desire, you are attached. Attachment signals lack. Advanced embodiment feels relaxed. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need validation. You don't need urgency. You simply assume and move. Now let's go deeper. The subconscious mind does not respond to future tense. It responds to now. So do not imagine it happening. Imagine it having happened. That subtle difference changes everything. Instead of imagining I'm receiving the money, imagine I received it. Instead of they are coming back, imagine they came back. It's done. Feel the completion. Completion signals to the subconscious that the identity has shifted, and identity is what manifests. Now during the day, reinforce the feeling lightly. You don't need to obsess, just return to it's done. Calmly, casually, almost bored certainty. That relaxed knowing accelerates things more than desperate repetition ever will. Here's another powerful addition to the night technique: revision. If something happened during the day that triggered you, an argument, a rejection, a financial frustration, before sleep, rewrite it. Close your eyes and imagine it going differently. Hear what you wish was said. See the outcome you prefer. Feel the relief. Then fall asleep in that revised scene. Why? Because the subconscious does not store events. It stores impressions. And the impression you fall asleep with hardens into future experience. You are not stuck with today's events. You can rewrite them before they crystallize into tomorrow. This is mastery. Now let's talk about something important. Do not test this every morning. Do not wake up and scan your world for evidence. That pulls you back into waiting. Instead, wake up and assume. Movement is happening. Go about your day normally. Stay aligned with the identity. And let the bridge unfold, because it will. The night technique works because it bypasses resistance. It plants directly into the subconscious soil. And what is planted consistently must grow. Now in the next section, we're going to compress everything you've learned into a powerful 24-hour manifestation formula. Not because manifestation must take 24 hours, but because focused identity shifts can produce rapid change when done correctly. Take a deep breath and let it go slowly. There is nothing to force right now, nothing to chase, nothing to fix. For this moment, you are simply choosing who you are. Close your eyes. Allow your body to relax. Release your jaw. Relax your shoulders. Let your breathing slow naturally. You are not trying to manifest. You are stepping into identity. Now bring to mind one desire. Just one. Something meaningful. Something that would shift your life in a beautiful way. Don't think about how. Don't think about when. Just acknowledge it. Now ask yourself quietly, who am I if this is already done? Not what happens. Who are you? Are you calmer, more secure, more confident, more relieved, more grateful? Feel that version of you. Not reaching, not hoping, already there. Now imagine waking up tomorrow, and it is completely done. Notice how your body feels. Notice how your breathing changes. Notice how your posture shifts. You are not pretending. You are selecting. Let a small scene form in your mind. Short, simple. Maybe someone congratulates you. Maybe you check your phone and see confirmation. Maybe you're telling a friend, it worked. See it briefly. Now feel it. The relief, the gratitude, the quiet certainty. Let that feeling expand in your chest. Stay with it. If your mind wanders, gently return. This is your new baseline. You are not waiting anymore. You are the version who already arrived. Now imagine moving through your day as this version. How do you walk? How do you speak? How do you react to small inconveniences? Notice the difference. There is less urgency, less fear, less overthinking, more steadiness, more confidence, more neutrality. This is the state, and the state creates the world. Now I want you to release the scene, but keep the feeling. The feeling is the seed. You don't need to replay the image constantly. You just remain the person who experienced it. Breathe that in. You are not manifesting something new. You are accepting something already decided. Now imagine someone asking you, how did it happen? And you smile, because it feels natural. Of course it happened, it was inevitable. Let that inevitability settle into you. Inevitable, not hopeful, not desperate, certain. Now I want you to make one internal decision. Quietly, firmly. This is who I am now. Not tomorrow, not when it appears. Now. Feel the shift in that decision. You are no longer trying. You are being. And when you are being, life reflects accordingly. Now take another slow breath. Let your body memorize this state, because this is what you return to. During the day, when doubt appears, you remember this feeling. When time feels slow, you remember this certainty. When contrast shows up, you remain this version. Calm, stable, unmoved, because it's done. Let that final phrase settle deeply. It's done. Not forced, not frantic, just complete. Now slowly bring your awareness back. Wiggle your fingers, open your eyes gently, and understand something clearly. If you remain this version, reality must conform, not because you control the world, but because the world reflects identity. You have just shifted identity. The rest is echo. Stay loyal to the state, and watch what unfolds.